everyone, I am going to do a brief stamp with me using the new StudioL2e release, and I am going to use Doodle Border. I'm going to use the Create. I'm going to use Flower Doodles, and I'm going to use Spring Blooms. So I'm just going to do the decorative part of my layout in this video, and then I will film the planner stamping part of the video later. So let's get started. First, I'm going to mask off sections and use Distress ink, and then I will use the new stamps to stamp over the Distress ink. And for the color scheme, I'm going to be using pinks and grays for this layout. And I have cheap Post-it notes, I think from the dollar spot, that I'm going to use to mask off my sections. Took a while to mask it off, but it's totally worth it because it will make distress inking very fast and very easy. So for distress ink, I am going to use the Distress Oxide in Hickory Smoke. And then I am going to start out with Spun Sugar because it's very light. But I will probably end up going into this Distress Oxide ink Picked Raspberry. So as I said before, my color scheme is going to be pinks and grays, and this will be a layout that I use come May, and I will probably use a lot of black ink as well for the planner stamping because I really like the bold crispness of black ink for planner stamps, because for me it's just easier to see what I'm doing and what I need to do. So I have the little dauber, and I have the sponge that just goes on it like this. And I always put scrap paper behind what I am distress inking, and it's not to protect pages really, it's more to protect my workspace. And I like to go in from my scrap paper, go in, so then like the blobs of ink get off on the scrap paper and not on my planner layout. So I'm going to start with gray, and I just dab it. And then I'm going to just gently come in. It does not require a lot of pressure, and it spreads really well. And because I'm going to use two different colors of the ink, I'm just going to go in at different spots with the gray. And you got to be careful of the Post-it notes coming up, especially when you're using the cheaper ones, because the adhesive's not very good. But just as long as you're careful, it should be fine. And that is it for the gray. And so I gently peel these off so they last longer, because they're not cheap, and so I want to make them last as long as possible. So here's the pink one, and I'm going to try to start with Spun Sugar, and we'll see how well it shows up. I may just switch right to the Picked Raspberry. Okay, and so this is the regular Distress ink, and this one can streak a whole lot easier than the Distress Oxide. This one just seems like smoother and creamier when you spread it. This one is a little, it just doesn't spread as smoothly. And you can even feel it and hear it in the sponge, I think. And so that's when it's really important to start blending from the scrap paper or the Post-it note. Otherwise, it's really easy to get bad streak marks or circle marks in your Distress ink. And this is just from personal experience and troubleshooting on my own. It is not like an actual way that somebody told me you're supposed to do it. It's from trial and error. Okay, so keep everything masked, because then you can just stamp, 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 and not worry about going into your boxes. And it's super easy to do partial stamps when it's boxed if you wanted to, which is one of my favorite things to do. And so for this one, I'm gonna do the borders. I think let's do, we're gonna use this one for the borders. Okay, so I do not have a block big enough for this stamp, but do not worry. And I like how I have the line, so I can line it up. So, stamps are super easy to cut. And I'm gonna cut it, which is not a bad thing, because then I will have a small section to use other places that I want as well. So you just need scissors, and you just cut right through. Do not be worried, I am not crazy. I should have brought my really super sharp scissors up. Ta-da, and there you go. And so I'm gonna put this one, this little one, back on here. And this will be great if you wanted to use it inside boxes or something like that. So stamps are totally trimmable. So if you think, oh, those are too big, I don't have a block to fit them, that's okay. Super easy to modify them.